whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to, perchance you're doing it in a little bit of Conqueror magic, because this tank is magic. I just finished the 215B review and whacked up in the comments all the tanks are done now. I can go and start concentrating on a few lower tier ones, blah, 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 blah. And someone said, what about the Conqueror? And I realised it was sitting in the garage but was unreviewed, and I felt a little bit dirty about the world for that. So I went and grabbed it, and wasn't I happy that I did. I think this is my favourite Tier 9 heavy now. Over the ST1, the 75, and the M103, etc. I think it's an absolutely gorgeous tank. And it was surprising to me way more than it was to anyone else, because I really didn't like any tanks in the British line particularly. The FV215B is not my cup of tea. I understand it is a great tank. It has higher DPM than this. It has slightly faster aim time, which is saying something, because the Conqueror has incredible aim time. But I'm not a fan of rear-mounted tanks. And you'll note that the Conqueror, while it has only modest gun depression, it has a very forward-mounted tank. You can also note when I'm on the phone during this game, because I start throwing some very weird stuff out. The Conqueror has a forward-mounted turret, and that's brilliant when you want to actually get shots off, because it allows you to not expose that huge big banana nose of yours and do a little bit of love. Now, the biggest, most bestest, most fantasticest, most bestest, friendest forever thing about this tank is the bloody gun. How good is the gun? It's 1.9 second aim time, which is very, very fine for a heavy tank indeed. You get crazy aim times like 1.7 seconds on the Carnarvon and the FV215B, but 1.9 is excellent. Now, we accentuate that wonderful gun handling with some vert stab loving. We're running vents, rammer, and V-stab, so we're maximizing the DPM and the speed of the aim, and that gives us a very, very good snapshot tank, particularly for being a heavy. It's a very, very stable gun platform. And you're going to see a few shots in this game that really expound just how good this tank is at snapshotting. In fact, you'll see in just a wee second when we take out this T44, look at these shots as we're going around corners. The bloom on the reticle, we're moving. And it's just so steady. With running vents and V-stab on this thing, look how steady the bloom on that reticle is, even when we're moving tracks and moving the turret at the same time. And check out this little number. Thank you. There's going to be an even more important shot coming up in the last game that you'll see. I'm not going to spoil it. So you've got this fantastic gun. Well, what else is good about it? 0.37 dispersion. 0.33 dispersion. Sorry, 0.37 wouldn't be that special. Combine that with your 1.9 second aim time, and you've got a really, really good weapon. Not to mention that it does 5.71 rounds per minute and has lovely penetration numbers, notably 259 on your standard AP, but you have 326 millimeters of pen on your APCR, and even better, that will allow you to go through the front lower glacis of things like the T95, but you have Hesh. Hesh is an absolute godsend for me. I love it. It makes tanks interesting, and that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed this tank is, much like the Cent 7 Mark 1, the FV4202 and the FV215B, you get cheap Hesh. Most people run about 60 millimeters of penetration on their 120 millimeter guns on their high explosive. High explosive squash head runs at 120 millimeters of penetration, which is a hell of a lot nicer, and it allows you to go through the sides of certain thinly armored tanks with ease, and it allows you to bash the dates of certain other tanks with ease as well, particularly American heavies and such. Now, your standard AP rounds will do 400 alpha. Your standard Hesh round, your cheap Hesh that costs you bugger all to actually pay for in terms of shell cost, does 515 rounds. So you can be firing cheap Hesh at heavily armored targets, doing damage and knocking yourself silly with how cheap it is to do, and that's something that is different and unique to the tank. There's no other heavies running around at tier 9 that can do that for you, and that's one of the things that I enjoy about the Conqueror. Now, it's mobile. You can see here we're getting out in the flanks I can't accentuate enough how much I dislike rear-mounted guns in this game. And I much prefer a forward-mounted gun like this. There we go. It was a bit of a wasted shot. That was just speculation. I much prefer forward-mounted guns like this for the reason that they give you less time exposed, less time when you're possibly under fire. Now, I'm not very good at making rear-mounted guns work. That doesn't mean they don't work. They just don't work for me. But you can see, look at how accurate and lovely this gun handling is on this tank. Now, that poor old J Panther is wide open. He's certainly going to be for it. But we've got no problems quickly changing ammo to IP. We don't want to waste APCR on that IS if we don't have to. And moving backwards and forwards. And it was an absolute perler. I'll have to find who it was on the YouTube channel and thank them for reminding me about this tank, because from the time I loaded it up to the time I finished the first 3 games, I think I averaged about 3.5k damage and absolutely whomped every one of them. Just put the 3 together and made the easiest review in the history of the world. I wish they were all this simple. Now, I ran about 65% in this first incarnation of this tank, grinding it up pretty much from stock. I've since extended it out to getting closer to 70, and it's now my favorite tier 9 heavy, and I'm really looking forward to driving it. Look at the snapshots. They're just so quick. I mean, things are moving. The bloom and that gun is beautiful, and I don't understand why I don't like the FV215B when I absolutely adore this weapon. We've gone to APCR because we want to spank this IS-6 right next to the gun. Look how accurate that is. I mean, I'm obviously getting a semi here just talking about it. It is a fantastic little weapon, and it can hull down reasonably enough. You don't want to be relying on the turret, much like the 215B, but because you're mounted at the front of the chassis, things aren't so tough. I think the big difference for me between how I ran the tank originally and how I'm running it now was that I swapped out toolbox for vents for V-stab. Now, I was very much a traditionalist with heavies in the past, and I was a bit of a scoffer in terms of running anything but toolbox because I was a big fan of side scraping. But the game's just changed to the point now where there's so much fast tank interaction in terms of mediums and really, really speedy tanks that you've got to be able to run a tank that can shoot really quickly and doesn't take forever to let the bloom set unless you've got a super strong armor profile. And this tank doesn't have an E75's armor profile. It's not an ST1. And because of that, you end up wanting to expose yourself for as little time as possible. And that's the perfect gun for this kind of tank. So the Conqueror has not only been a huge surprise for me, it's been a welcome revelation. Now, I try and hesh it out here and just be a little bit sneaky. That's too much armor really to be doing that on. You really, ST1's a very, very strong armor profile. A lot of red on that front too, which is not where you want to be doing. But look at how accurate this little gun is. Oh. Mobile 2, look at it turn. Very, very solid tank. We are happy with this tank. Now, I ran all the games solo, no platoons, because I wanted to make sure that whatever we got was a true indication of how you'd run it on your lonesome. I do tend to snipe a bit in this tank. I don't play it as a frontline heavy. I play it as a medium flanker, and you'll note in nearly all these games, I am hitting the flanks and the edges. 4,000 damage there again, 3 kills. This is the last game. Now, I hope you like this new style of review. The guys on Patreon, I've started posting some private videos for them as well, for sponsors of the channel. Here we go. We've gone way down the southern side on Castilla, which is not normally the way I'd go, but the team was going there, so I went there with them. And we're going to get a little shot here on a Chiri. There he is. This is the thing that really excites me. So often on tanks you have shots and you miss them, and they're very, very costly, both in terms of your hit points and the overall result. There's nothing more frustrating than missing very, very low hit point tanks and then having to come back at a later date and fix them up. And that's something that the Conqueror excels at. It doesn't do that a lot. Now, I also see this map and look at it, and we are spread out absolutely everywhere. The enemy is all over the place. I figure the best thing I can do is get up on the hill at the back. If there are enemy there, I will clear them out. If not, then I'll be able to support fire many, many different people at once, depending on where the targets are. And it does get a little bit touch and go at the end, but, well, wait and see. So we're moving forward up the mountain here. You know, it hits its 30-odd kilometre top speed very, very comfortably. And while it doesn't have the 33 degrees of traverse that you do get in the FV215B, it's certainly not sluggish at all. It's a very, very good package. It's an absolute belter versus medium tanks too. Here we go. We're just speculating again. Got to speculate to accumulate, as they like to say in big American banks. ST1, stock ST1, always eyes light up whenever I see one of them. That's a prick of a tank to ride from stock if you excuse the French. Now, we're just looking for targets. There's plenty of targets there. We're just trying to pick up a few easy hits. The tank's a great sniper. Don't get me wrong, I don't condone sniping at all times, but it is an absolutely superb sniper. 0.33 dispersion tank is good enough, but 1.9 second aim time, throw a vert stab onto that, and you are looking at a very, very effective support tank, even in tier 10 games. And we finish off this ST1 who's been tracked. Now, 3 on 5, you think it would be all happy days, plain sailing from here, but my friends, you'd be wrong. This is World of Tanks Blitz, and I've made a bit of an error here. I should probably have gone down. Now, we hit there, but we bounce. I should have pushed up now, but I mean, I've still got targets, so it's hard to be too upset at me. There's been no shortage of things to shoot at, and I've been shooting at them. So I wouldn't have been able to do that if I had pushed up in any one particular area, and I've yet to take any damage. So I'm thinking solid, no damage, plenty of opportunity. I don't know where that one went. Maybe the tank in front of him, but it certainly looked like it was on track. We're back to 3-all though, however. I'm going to throw another speculator in here. I don't know where that went. Very hard when using any tank at that range, but particularly difficult there. And we load up a Hesh shell, and I think we stuffed this shot. No, we hit him. Wasn't full damage though, so we're going back to AP. He's come around to the SU-152, who is in my favourite little spot there. He doesn't want to be in front of that gun. He's going to have to make a choice very, very shortly whether he gets on or gets off the pot. No targets up there. There we go. He's come out. Going to help out with that IS-3. And T-44 is down. Happy days. Let's see if we can't put a little bit of love into him. The side of that turret. 492. That's what we're talking about. Hesh. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. It is lovely. Look at that. That's a tier 8 medium. He doesn't know we're here. And we get another one. 443. That time out, we just went back to the old AP. Going to leave him for the SU-152. 144 left on the clock. And we're going to have to get moving. 2 still to kill. We've got plenty of time. But as you'll see, we're all idiots, okay? Everyone here, everyone in the room has these moments, okay? I'm about to have one of these moments. I'm pretty sure I know the IS-3 is going to be somewhere down here. Unless he's running away, they're both going to be pushing towards me. So that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. There we go. Snapshot. Bang. He never has a chance. See that little gap next to him? That's important. Look how quick we get this one going. He bouncy, bouncy. Not a lot of IS-6 penetration. Look how wide the thing is, though. This is an issue. 57 seconds left. The SU-152 is stuck down the bottom of the ISU. He can't get up. I'm trying to turn this IS-6, IS-3 past and push it over so I can get past. I cannot get this thing going. 40 seconds left and he's disappeared, and I am now panicking. But the T-32 is saying, good God, good. He says something like, these guys are pro, and I'm like, with 30 seconds left on the clock. Good old ISU. That IS-3. Now this is, we are going to talk about this shot. Snapshotting is what this tank is fantastic at. There is 16 seconds left. He has 400 and... how many hit points? 443. My average roll is 400. It's not going to do it. We've got Hesh, 122 millimeters. There is a slot on the back of the ISU right about there. 0-0 victory. Look at this in slow motion. This is one of the reasons you are going to love this tank. There are not many heavies full stop in the game that can make this shot. Forward mounted turret. No auto aim. We are just going to stick it right on that very small target on a moving tank. 0-0-0 ticks up just as we press the button. Straight through the lower engine grill, takes a full 443 hit points off him because it has 515 damage potential, and we win it as the clock ticks out. If you're not happy with that, there's not much that's going to make you happy in life. I should actually turn the sound on for that because that is particularly hilarious to hear me. There you go, 4,266 damage. Now we've got a lot coming up. Patch 2.6 will be with us very, very shortly, and as we all know, that's going to be bringing those light tanks, which is very, very, very exciting. I hope you like the Conqueror review, boys and girls. 3 games, straightforward, very easy. We talked about the pros and cons of the tank. I'd love some feedback on you on what you thought of it, but this is how I want to run forward a little bit more often with the channel. Happy to answer questions and maybe include some new stuff on it, but you let me know what you think and we'll see if we can't help out. So I'm Bushka on Blitz. As always, you've been absolutely fantastic. It's wonderful to be here. The channel's been so well supported and the response has always been overwhelming whenever I've asked for help. We're well over 7,000 subs now, which I find staggering. And we seem to be marching onwards towards 10,000, which is going to just blow me away. Patreon sponsorship is picking up as well. If we can get it to a high enough level, mate, I'll just quit the job and stay home making tank videos forever, and you can watch a new one every day. But that's what my wife says. She says, if they all just gave us $1, you'd never have to go to work again. And I said, oh no, honey, that's not how it works. But you've been wonderful, boys and girls. Conqueror's done. The E4, the T110 E4 is rolling up next. It's a monster. God, I love that tank too. And I do love a lot of tanks, but you know, I said I'd do the 183 again. I'm not doing the 183 again, guys. You're just going to have to stand with my last review. I think the 183's got better, but I still don't think it can carry for the same reasons I expressed in the 183 review I did when the British TD line came out and I ground through that thing. So thank you very much for your time. I'm Bushka on Blitz, onwards and upwards, and as they say in the classics, stay safe on the battlefield.